Welcome to the show, everyone. It's the Crypto Lark. I'm here in San Francisco today, and I got the chance to sit down with Mo from Celer Network. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mo from Celer Network.
Now, what are you guys doing? Can you give us the short version of what Celer Network does?
Yeah, sure. So Celer Network is a coherent architecture for off-chain scaling with both a technology innovation and also economic construct.
Okay, so off-chain scaling, it's an interesting concept, but shouldn't we be keeping everything on-chain? Why are you deciding to go off-chain?
Yeah, I think that is a very good question. So in last year, we've seen a lot of projects that is working on chain improvement on consensus algorithm to improve the scalability of blockchain, which is super important, first of all. I want to acknowledge that first. But like if we think about the final scalability target that we want to hit for the entire blockchain ecosystem, it is way beyond any on-chain consensus algorithm improvement can reach, because like we want to match people always say that okay, the final goal is like we need to match the Visa level of scalability, but that should not be the goal, right? What we should be looking at is the scalability level of the internet today, like how fast the information transfer is going on today, and we should match the value transfer with contractual logic to that speed. Right, so that is what we think the final scalability target should be, and for that we have to learn from internet, and how internet does things is when we're doing like a transaction or doing like a YouTube streaming, no one is actually agreeing on that between you and me are doing like YouTube streaming, right? So similar concept. We want to like basically bring this kind of transactions from blockchain, from hitting blockchain, hitting consensus and triggering the process of everyone agreeing on the same thing to the process of like only involved party need to be agreeing on the same thing. But at the same time, we don't want to lose the security because we still have a secure on-chain bond back to the blockchain. Whenever like bad things happens or the counterparty trying to cheat, we always can like ensure the security by reverting and doing like the final settlement on the blockchain. So that is the whole premises of how off-chain works. Yeah.
Interesting. So essentially, you're going to be backing up onto Ethereum, or you're creating your own blockchain that will have your blockchain with a major off-chain scaling solution?
Oh yeah, I think that is a very good question. So we could have just created a new blockchain, but like that's not what we like want to do, because we think that the off-chain ecosystem is actually a very, very, very rich layer, right? So let me just pull an analogy here that Microsoft probably could have done like a new kind of a hardware architecture, but they didn't do it. They instead went for the Windows route and creating the operating system, which is like running on top of the hardware. So that's similar kind of concept that we're putting here. That is like we are more focused on, we want to focus our energy with limited energy, but like we want to focus that on the off-chain component to bring more applications to existing blockchains. That is also giving us a very unique marketing edge in the sense that we would be more than happy to collaborate with many different public blockchains since we're blockchain agnostic, and also like onboard any sort of application that is wanting to build on top of us.
Great. And so what's the response been from the different blockchains? Like, is the Ethereum community excited to see Celer coming forward? Have you been talking to Neo? Have you been talking to WanChain?
Yeah. So Ethereum is, in my opinion, in our opinion, in fact, the blockchain with the best developer support and the best developer community. And we have gained a lot from them, and we deeply appreciate the help from the Ethereum community. So yes, our first support will be on Ethereum blockchain. But at the same time, there are many rising blockchains in the ecosystem as well. Things like Finality, things like QuackChain, or these newer blockchains are also wanting to onboard us as a scalability solution. So we are pretty broad in terms of the blockchains that we want to support. But we will pick our fight very selectively to pick ones that with already a large developer base, and maybe some others with a very very good potential, basically.
Yeah. And so what about sharding? I mean, I know the guys at Ethereum are working on sharding as a scaling solution. If they effectively implement sharding, will there still be use for Celer Network?
Oh yeah, so that is also a very good question. So sharding solves the scalability to some extent. In the sense that it is trying to basically, separate states and kind of a confined state within like a certain shard, right? But sharding is having more complicated trade-off there, that it is introducing the scalability versus finality trade-off. So in terms of like the actual usable scalability, especially when things are related to like basically cross-shard transfer, it is reverting to the same level of scalability or even worse scalability like just like a linear chain. Because the big thing here is that we're eventually like trying to maintain a linear data structure where like basically everything has a certain order, right? Sharding kind of solves that by trying to preemptively or optimistically saying that okay, these guys probably won't talk to each other for a while. That guys probably won't talk to each other for a while. To solve that problem, it has its own challenge of like basically cross-shard transactions and all that stuff. So what we think, so even with all that problem solved, each shard is still a decentralized system. You still need to have like everyone in that block, in that like shard, to agreeing on the same thing, or like basically is randomly assigned the block proposal, depending on how you implement sharding. Right? There are different technologies, but yeah. So I think sharding and off-chain scalings are definitely complementary to each other.
Very interesting. So basically, if Ethereum implements sharding, you only make it better.
Yeah, definitely. We are not in conflict at all. Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great. I love these ideas because realistically, scalability is an issue when it comes to blockchain. But off the top of your head, do you know how many transactions per second the entire internet does?
So I wouldn't say that like there's like a transaction per second concept here, because the internet mostly carries data. But like when we say that okay, we want to have the blockchain to match the scalability of the internet, what we're talking about, maybe like we do some back of the envelope calculation here. That is, the internet is delivering, let's say, 53 terabyte of data per second, and if we assume that for every 1,000 kilobyte of data delivered across the internet, there is one like value transfer or blockchain transaction associated with that, right? So if we want to like make everything really fluid, right? So just like value transfer is just like the internet transferring information. Now we should be looking at about 530 million transactions per second if we're doing that kind of calculation. So
that's a lot faster than Ethereum's 15 at the moment.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's. But I'm hopeful. I'm confident that through the collective effort of the entire community, we can achieve that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now in Celer Network itself, like how many transactions per second are you going to be able to help scale the blockchain ecosystem up by?
Right. So what we often talk about is like we bring internet scale to blockchain. In terms of numbers, if you look at our website, it says 10 billion transactions per second. The 10 billion number is intentionally put there so people can ask the question, okay, this is like, what you are talking about. Yeah, this is like a big number. How could we achieve that? The point that we're trying to make here is that off-chain scaling is very, very different from on-chain scaling, right? So it is entirely different scaling paradigm. That you're basically, doing transaction between you and me, and without actually incurring the overall consensus process. So if there are more and more people doing transactions on the blockchain, the transaction speed is actually going to be increased as more people are doing transactions instead of stay the same. So it is in a way very horizontally scalable. This is like what people usually call this kind of scaling paradigm. So yeah, that's why we put the number there. I think it really depends on how what stage the system are, but there is like no inherent scalability bound for this kind of off-chain solutions.
Very, very cool. No, this is exciting. I personally can't wait to actually dig in, and I will be reviewing this for anyone who wants more information on it. Make sure you check back on the channel later. A review will be forthcoming, but thank you for giving us an insight into what you're doing and into the scalability of not just blockchain, but the internet. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.